It's inevitable that Bitcoin will eventually become the world's reserve currency and the world's reserve asset. We're on that trajectory. I'm still holding on to my thesis of Bitcoin at a price target of about 475,000 by the fourth quarter of 2025. And that's because of now nation state involvement.
Sovereign wealth is buying Bitcoin in droves, and I don't think you have any idea what's about to happen with Bitcoin's price. Stay tuned. Because earlier today, Bitcoin made a new all-time high, 109,800 about, dipped down to 106,000, right back up to 108,000, almost 900. It's going to take me a few hours to get this video out, guys. Tell me what price Bitcoin's at when you're watching this, because I'll tell you something, and I've told you this before. Bitcoin's move from 110,000 to 125,000 will be quick. Tell a friend. Let me know in the comments if you're part of the Altcoin Daily army, if you've been subscribed to us for a while, and if you have, you've probably heard me say throughout the years, last chance to buy Bitcoin here, last chance to buy Bitcoin here, last chance to buy Bitcoin here, last chance to buy Bitcoin here. You know, I'm not just saying that flagrantly, it's because I study the Bitcoin and crypto market deeply, and we see that the floodgates are opening up, and I keep you informed on a daily basis, showing you what's actually happening in this space. So let's talk about it. Why is Bitcoin's price moving so quickly? Like the video, support the channel. There's a few different reasons why Bitcoin's price is moving so quickly right now. Number one, people are not selling. Bitcoin exchange inflow. So people moving the Bitcoin they already own onto an exchange, presumably to sell, that's down 82% since November. At the same time, liquidity in the crypto market is booming. Stablecoin reserves surge to 46.9 billion. Why? Because the genius Stablecoin Bill is finally going to pass. This is one of 3 bills that are on the horizon that hopefully all 3 get passed this year. First, it's the Stablecoin Bill. This brings tons of liquidity into the market. Second is the Market Structure Bill. This sets crypto up in the market so everything's defined and everybody knows what they can and cannot do and how to do it. And then the third is the Bitcoin Reserve Bill. So understand this first step is happening and this is huge. Now, just a couple weeks ago, the Stablecoin Bill failed the first time, surprisingly, in Congress. It's made a lot of progress since then. A few things got tweaked. It's coming up for another final vote. And crypto czar David Sachs says we have every expectation now it's going to pass. This is why.
Let's talk stablecoins. There's this bill trying to make its way through the Senate. What's your take?
Well, so first of all, we have significant bipartisan support for this. I think 15 Democrats voted for the bill to pass this key procedural threshold of cloture, which means there'll be no filibuster against the bill. We have every expectation now that it's going to pass. And I think the reason it's going to pass is because stablecoins offer a new, more efficient, cheaper, smoother payment system, new payment rails for the U.S. economy. It also extends the dominance of the dollar online, and it also creates billions of dollars or trillions of dollars of demand for our treasuries. So I think for all these reasons, the stablecoin bill is going to pass, and it's going to pass with significant bipartisan support.
How long do you think before stablecoin would start to really have that dollar support effect you're talking about?
I mean, I think it'll be immediate. So we already have over $200 billion in stablecoins. It's just unregulated. And I think that if we provide the legal clarity and legal framework for this, I think we could create trillions of dollars of demand for our treasuries practically overnight, very quickly.
Corporations keep buying Bitcoin. You know, for a fixed supply asset, tons of corporations are saying we want 1%, 2%, up to 5% of the entire Bitcoin supply. Here, Jack Mallers talks about just this. He now has a competing company to Michael Saylor, kind of doing the same thing.
What I'll tell listeners is use your imagination, right? Like the business is founded by myself and Tether. And, you know, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of the Bitcoin network and, you know, the Tether network and a lot of experience and lessons at Strike and my life lived there, we think the combination of all, it's going to be really interesting. There's a lot of good we can do for the world.
Speaking of Cantor Fitzgerald, one of Wall Street's most notable companies, they say there's no way they're stopping. They're fully committed to Bitcoin. They totally believe in it. Even if price dipped 50%, they would still be investing, and they have billions yet to deploy.
I think the beauty of Cantor is that when we're committed to something, we're committed to something. I think if, you know, God forbid, Bitcoin tanked tomorrow 50%, a lot of our competitors and a lot of, you know, the classic TradFi Wall Street guys would run away. That's definitely not what we're going to do. We say we're committed. You know, in In 21, we hired our first crypto bankers. In 22, we hired our first research analysts, and we're the only real Wall Street institution that has pure dedicated research analysts. And we also host conferences every year. Our first conference actually was the week FTX went down. So that was incredibly well timed. But our value prop is that we're really committed to the space. And more than just as a TradFi, Wall Street institution, we're really trying to grow and get smarter. And I think you can really see that with our Bitcoin lending project. So again, trying to bring credibility to the space. We're launching a $2 billion Bitcoin lending product to start with Anchorage and Copper as our custodians. And that project, along with so many other more we plan to launch, like 21 Capital you touched on, are super exciting.
And yet, corporations investing, it's actually a very small amount of capital compared to institutions and particularly sovereign wealth. So let's talk about institutions and particularly sovereign wealth. All the big ETF issuers are meeting with sovereign wealth funds from the Middle East, from Europe, from all over the world, and they all are kind of saying the same thing. What's really interesting to me here, Matt Hogan, the Bitwise CIO, he says, based on what he's finding, and I've heard Larry Fink say the same thing, sovereign wealth is buying both the asset directly, they're buying Bitcoin directly, and they're also buying Bitcoin via the ETFs. They're buying Bitcoin in two ways, and we really only know about the ETF way, but the point is, it seems like they're really loading up.
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with a sovereign that was interested in the ETF because they wanted to get ahead of the US buying it. And it was just a faster, easier button. I do think they'll end up buying both. If you look at the gold market, for instance, that's what you see. People own gold ETFs and they own gold bars. The same thing is going to be true here in crypto. So I think it's probably more likely that more sovereigns are going direct, but you'll definitely see more than one take the ETP route. It's just incredibly convenient, incredibly low cost.
If you want to make money in crypto, make sure you subscribe to Altcoin Daily. We give you an edge. We post one video every day, keeping you informed on the entire space like no other channel does. Sovereign wealth buying Bitcoin, different nations buying Bitcoin is one of the biggest reasons we're seeing so many people raise their price targets and why Bitcoin is moving up rather quickly lately. Europe is buying Bitcoin. Middle Eastern countries are buying Bitcoin. The US is buying Bitcoin maybe, or they will soon. Like I said, Stablecoin Bill first, then Crypto Market Structure Bill, then Bitcoin Reserve Bill. So the US is going to be buying a lot more Bitcoin soon, and a lot of other countries know that because Trump has signaled that. And we're kind of in a huge race right now. The United States, Europe, Middle East, sovereign wealth is all getting in. Dr. Jeff Ross, he's the founder and CEO of Capital Management LLC and Vailshire Partners LP hedge fund. He has his ear to the ground, his finger on the pulse about what's really happening, which is why he just raised his Bitcoin price prediction. You tell me what you think. I'll see you tomorrow.
It's inevitable that Bitcoin will eventually become the world's reserve currency and the world's reserve asset. We're on that trajectory. People hate the term inevitable because they think that implies no human effort. I think there's going to be tons of human effort from Bitcoiners who understand Bitcoin. And because of that effort, Bitcoin will become inevitably the world's reserve asset and the world's reserve currency in time.
I completely agree with that. And I think that hands are going to be forced as well. Like I'm fairly confident from people I've spoken to that the UAE hold a significant amount of Bitcoin, whether that's 200, 300, 400,000 coins, whatever. That's going to play into it. And I think that may end up forcing the US's hand in some way, maybe quite quickly. In terms of like this Bitcoin cycle, how important do you think the US involvement is?
I think it's just basically I think it's important for this cycle, as you say. I think it's going to be the main driver that will push us to the next level. So I'm still holding on to my thesis or my guess of Bitcoin at a price target of about 475,000 by the fourth quarter of 2025. And that's because of now mild nation state involvement. So the US will probably get involved to some degree. That should start a bit of a foot race for Bitcoin, but I don't think it will be as impressive as a lot of people think. You know, we had MicroStrategy last cycle. Now we have a handful of companies doing the Bitcoin treasury strategy. It's great to see, but it's still just a teeny tiny drop in the bucket so far. But that's enough, I think, enough interest to help push the price higher in this next cycle. So once we see liquidity really start to take off, I think that's what will propel Bitcoin to, a 500K valuation, maybe a million, who knows? My range is anywhere from 200,000 to a million at some point. And then I think people will get over leveraged again, like people always do, because they get caught up in the hype and they do stupid things. And then we have another crash after that. And then the next cycle, I think, will be more of nation state involvement kind of early on. And we'll start seeing nation states stacking at a more